Hey guys, Theron Asbury here with Revital Outdoors, bringing you another exciting podcast. Tonight we have another winning podcast from 2022. We're going to be talking to Mr. Logan Anderson. Logan just won the North Carolina Division BFL event on Kerr Lake, so we're very excited to talk to Logan. I've been following this guy on Facebook for a little bit of time, and just very, very proud of him for winning this tournament. He's a really great guy, really phenomenal angler over there in the Carolina States. So very excited to get a recap about his event this last weekend. Before we get started, Revital Outdoors is still very excited to announce we are accepting entries into our $2,500 sweepstakes giveaway. You see the rotating banner right there. Make sure you hit that link at the top of the description right below this video. It takes a few seconds to enter in your information. Then you will be in for the giveaway. That lucky angler will win that $2,500 giveaway package at the end of the BFL season once they are chosen. And we have great companies in the fishing industry such as Flambeau Outdoors, Cigar Line, Costa Del Mar, Luge, Strike King, the Rod Glove, Tackle Warehouse in on this giveaway. So definitely, whatever kind of angler you are, from a tournament angler all the way to the person that likes to drown a worm and catch a bluegill in the pond, enter this giveaway. You will want to be a part of it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. That's Revital Outdoors. And if you've never heard of Revital Outdoors, we are a premium CBD company. We offer premium CBD products to all the outdoor enthusiasts out there. Remember, our products are THC-free, made right here in America. They help combat all the different ailments that outdoor enthusiasts endure out on the water or in the field. So check them out on our website. You can purchase them directly off our website as well. That's revitaloutdoors.com. That being said, let's go ahead and get straight to North Carolina. Let's bring Logan Anderson into the studio. Logan, first and foremost, thank you for taking time to come into our podcast this evening. Congratulations on your win this last weekend. Let's dive right into it. What happened, maybe a little bit about practice, and then what unfolded for you during the tournament.
Well, thanks for inviting me on here. It's always a pleasure to get on anything like this. Love listening to podcasts like this, so appreciate you inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just give you a quick rundown on how my week went. I'm fortunate to have a job where I go practice a little bit, so I live about 3 hours from Kerr, so I peeled out about 3 a.m., 4 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Got down to Kerr after breakfast and breaks and all, about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and it was kind of rainy. Should extend the shad-spawn by a little bit, and being that it's early to mid-May, that was always my first thing to look for. Get a shad-spawn bite to start your day off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I put in towards the mouth of Nutbush. There was I think there was 8 tournaments on Kerr on Saturday. So, and half of them, 8. Yeah. Yeah. There was.
Why?
It's a good lake. I mean, I guess that's why. It's a big lake. That's really the biggest reason. It's the biggest lake in that region. Mm-hmm. And people love, heck, they had a Shenandoah the day after us that a guy also right down the road, Scott Hamrick, won, doing the exact same thing, I'm pretty sure. And then they've got a cat championship this weekend on it. So it's getting beat to death. But with that said, it still fishes really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a very diverse fishery, you can do a lot of different things. But anyway, so put the boat in. First thing I did was go try to find a shad or herring spawn because there's both types of bait fish around the lake. Herring and shad spawning everywhere. If you threw a bait, they spawned. They were bumping it everywhere, mm-hmm. And there were no fish that I could find in it anywhere. So that was pretty much a bust. And towards the middle of day one of practice, I panned my Panoptics over on the point as I was leaving and saw a brush pile. Picked my jig up, made one cast in it, and caught a 2.5 pounder. It's like, okay, well, maybe they just pulled off the bank because they were kind of jacking with the water levels and stuff like that. So I decided to, kind of bail on the shad spawn. It was 11 o'clock. Bail on shallow fish and try to get out there and look for something deep. Maybe the first one's out. And within maybe an hour of looking, I came across the biggest school of fish I've ever seen in North Carolina on a graph. There had to have been 150 to 200. It looked like a TVA school. Like, it was insane. And made one cast in them and caught a 3.5 pounder, which is a very good one for Kerr Lake.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I packed up shop and I left and proceeded to graph around all day. And I found some more in brush piles and stuff, but never anything that really did it for me. But I had a bunch of good brush piles that I fished in the past, crappie fishing up there. So I was like, well, yeah, I'll run shad-spawn in the morning, brush piles and offshore in the afternoon. Hopefully that school of fish is still there and full of 3.5s, and I just won the tournament like that. So fast forward to Friday, it was supposed to thunderstorm all afternoon. So I go out and I told the guy I was staying with that I was going to try to find shad-spawn in the morning. So go out, head up to an area I've never fished before and start running some docks and some laydowns, just any shallow cover in front of me, swimming a jig, and caught 3, not great big ones, but 3 fish. I was like, okay, well, there's at least fish eating in the shad-spawn, so I'll start out here in the morning, then go deep. And at 10 o'clock, I got off the water because I thought there was going to be thunderstorms, and I had a little bit of work to do working remotely. So I just got off the water, got everything situated, and then it turned out, instead of having thunderstorms, bright, sunny, clear skies, beautiful day to fish. So I wasted half a day of practice. So fast forward to the tournament, boat 104, I think. Fog delay kind of kills the shad-spawn bite a little bit. I told my co-anglers, like, we're going to give those docks a chance. And if we don't catch them on them, we're just going to go fish deep all day. So we go run. I think I run 10 docks in practice in that little section and caught 3 fish. So I ran those 10 docks and didn't get a bite. Shad-spawn everywhere. It's like, oh, crap. This ain't good. So I was like, well, let's go to the next pocket, fish it, and if we don't catch anything, we're gone. So we pull in the next pocket, second dock. There's a stump under the walkway and then the dock. And for some reason, I didn't throw at the stump under the walkway. The co-angler throws up there, catches a 3-pounder. It's like, oh, it's going to be one of them days.
Hey, I have to say, good co-angler, though. He hit something you didn't, and that's what you got to do. So,
he had the bites he might could have won the co-angler side too. He had the bites to do it. He threw a wacky rig all day, and he was a heck of a fisherman. Wes House was his name. He's a good dude. But so as I turned around to get the net for him, and he said, "No, I don't need the net. So I'm kind of just watching him land it at that point. And as I watch him get, I'm like, dang, I could have had that one. Looked over, and there's a big one sitting under the dock, staring at a ball of shad. And as I look, it just kind of sinks down. It's like, crap. I spooked him, whatever I did. And I skipped my jig in there, pumped it 2 or 3 times, nothing. It's like I knew it. Skipped it in again, pumped it 1 time, ate it. Hook him, boat flip it. It's 4.5 pounder. Biggest fish of the day. It's like, okay,
now I got to ask, I hate to interrupt. Are you throwing like a true skipping jig?
So I got the jig right here.
Oh,
It's a queen tackle, 3/8 ounce glimmer blue or blue glimmer shad, I think is the name of the color technically. Tungsten swim jig. And
nice.
we were talking before the podcast about fish. If you put it in front of one, they're going to eat it, no matter what jig it is. The key with this one is it's a small head, and when you put a bulky trailer on it, it stays up high in the water pretty easy. It comes through cover really well, but it's got an absolute beast of a hook in. I think it's like a 5/0 mustad hook.
Yeah, that's a beast. I want to see the head design a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's just a regular swim jig head. It's kind of a little wider than just a really narrow kind of a traditional grass jig swimming head.
Correct.
But I think that was a little bit by design by him in order to facilitate a little more skipping. Because if you get that really narrow head, sometimes they just bog down the water and don't really do well. But it still comes through cover really well. So, but yeah, that hook is the reason I was throwing it, though. Because really your trailer is what allows you to skip a jig, in my personal opinion. And that hook keeps them pinned. I mean, you don't lose them. So,
yeah.
So anyway, keep fishing some docks. Go around probably 2 more docks, skip up under one, swimming it out. A 4-pounder comes out. Mouths it, somehow doesn't eat it. And, well, I thought it ate it, set the hook, didn't eat it. So that broke my heart. I thought I missed my chance. 2 4-pounders on Kerr is gold. And so we leave, go to the next dock, and we see one bust up under the front of it. So I throw up there, swim it out, nothing. And Kerr has the floating docks as like a traditional, Lake Hartwell, Lake Lanier. and I'm bringing it up to one of those cables that they have. So I bring it up to the cable, stop it right at the cable, and just pop it over. That way it doesn't get hung. And as it pops over, it comes down the other side, and one comes up and smokes it. So that was a 4-pounder. So there's my second big one. And then it died. It absolutely died. So we went out deep and pulled up to that deep school, and they were all there. I could see them on Panoptics, 360s, everything. And I couldn't get one to bite for anything. I begged them, but they wouldn't bite a single thing I would throw. So we ran over to another point, and I happened to catch one up shallow on a tungsten swing head that Queen Tackle also sells. And from there, it wasn't happening out there is basically what I'm getting at. So I said, well, let's go up shallow. And, it's still cloudy. I was like, let's just try the docks again. Maybe there's still some fish around there, even though the shad-spawn's kind of done.
Right.
So we run up to Ivy Hill, which is a kind of mid-lake area on Kerr. And you want to talk about boats. There must have been 100 people in that one little creek.
I've never fished Kerr before, but I've heard of that area. So I believe what you're saying for 100%. You're like, that's the place to go.
Well, and apparently the day before they were chewing in there because everybody I talked to had no idea. They're like, what? I don't know what happened. So we ran around there, didn't catch much, started just pouring rain on us. So I said, well, let's go to this other small creek near here that is kind of a little less known, and it has maybe 10 docks in the back of it. We go back there, start fishing some docks, still pouring rain. My co-angler loses a 3-pounder on a wacky rig behind me. I was like, at least there's fish still on the docks willing to bite. Well, I'm thinking I might need to switch off the white jig. And about that time, skip up under one, hang a 2.5, jumps off. So, and it ran right at me. I didn't get a good hook in him. That's entirely user error, but still happened and broke my heart because I thought that might have been my only chance at getting a limit.
Right.
And starting to pop some thunder and lightning behind us, and I'm not big on staying out in the thunderstorm with a lightning rod in your hand.
No, I'm not. I'm not in favor of that either. I'm right there with you. I tell people all the time, I love paying taxes too much to take a chance like that.
Being in Florida, you have your fair share of them too. So
yeah, and I mean, you don't mess with them. You can't do it.
So we're kind of, and my co-angler the same way. He was very, very not willing to stay out. So I told him, I said, this dock right here is wide open. We can come into it if it gets really close. So we go around a dock and it cracks one not too far from us. So I said, all right, I ain't doing this. I'm going to finish fishing this dock, and we're going under that dock. And I skipped up under the very front. And as soon as it hit the water, it was almost a frog bite. Like it might have sunk 3 inches. Another 4-pounder ate it. So jack him, get him in, net him. And as I'm taking him out of the net, I look back and lightning strikes like 2 miles behind us. So I said, all right, under the dock. So and that was my 5th fish. So I was feeling a lot better getting under there too, but we sat there for about 30 minutes. And after it let up, we took off and the sun actually came out. And I told him, I said, man, now that the sun's out, I think that white thing's done. I think I need to switch to a bottom jig. Even though they're floating docks, sometimes they still, Jason Christie at the Classic proved that you can still throw a jig on the bottom near them. And I actually switched to this guy, which is a 3/8 green pumpkin green Queen Tackle flipping jig. It's just the old Arky head. Get it in the camera.
That's a notorious head style in the Carolinas. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yep. That's what everybody throws. Half of people skip them. I mean, he's got over here on the shelf, I can show you, he's got the regular flipping jig in a white color. I like that big hook in the swim jig. So I picked that up and throw under the front of a dock, just kind of random, and catch me another 3-pounder. That was it. So there I fished two more hours doing the same stuff. Never got another bite. So, but at that point, the docks had been getting hit really hard, and we tried to change up and do some other stuff. But honestly, I asked my co-angler. I thought I had 15 pounds. It always takes 18 to 19 to win. Didn't think I had a shot. I was just happy to get a check.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you a little bit about the dock skipping technique. It's something that not a lot of people are dialed into in the month of May. Were you catching were those post spawn fish, or they were fry garters, or?
Well, I think they were almost all of them were post spawn. They were all eating shad for the most part. I never saw a fry ball, but I saw 2 or 3 bass I couldn't catch on corners of docks that just, you throw at them, they kind of sink down, but they weren't really going through bait, and they kind of made me think fry garter, but I never saw the fry. So without seeing the fry, to me, it's really hard to catch a fry garter.
Absolutely. And then the second thing is, as far as your setup with dock fishing, this is kind of, it varies among anglers. There's guys that like to throw shorter rods, bigger rods, heavier rods, lighter rods. Some guys throw braid, fluorocarbon. What's kind of your typical setup? Being from North Carolina, you do a lot of dock skipping. I think some of the best dock skippers in the world are from the Carolinas. I mean, and it's not hard to, say, Andy Montgomery, Brian Thrift, Brian New. Those are just a few guys that come to mind.
Those are just the pros. Not to disparage those guys because they're hammers, but the best skippers are the ones stay around here and do it more often. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Matt Airy is another guy that really good at skipping docks. What's kind of your
David
setup?
Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason Williams. Jason's got an advantage though because he's 6'6". So definitely.
I said David Williams.
David Williams.
Last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David can do it too. He's won numerous tournaments doing it as well. So just out of curiosity, what's your kind of setup for flipping dock or skipping docks?
So some guys really dial in their setup, with dock skipping. Honestly, if you skip as much as we do, you can just about skip whatever. Honestly, like I can pick up not saying I'm as good as those guys because I'm not by any means, but I can at least get by with just about whatever. I found a rod I really like when I was in college. You actually had Jacob Moore on a couple days ago, and me and him graduated and went to college at the exact same time at State.
Okay.
And we were sponsored by JB Custom Rods at the time. And they have a jig rod that it's got just a little bit of tip, but it's a broomstick. And I use that all the time. I mean, I use that. I use a pretty high speed reel because when you screw up a skip, you really want to be able to get in and do it again. And when they hit it and come at you, you got to be able to catch up to them because usually when they're under the dock, you skip it in or bringing it to you, they're coming at you almost every time. Yeah. So I think the reel I was using a Corrado 8.5-1 and 20-pound line.
Okay. Fluorocarbon?
Oh yeah. I don't even know what kind it is. 20-pound fluorocarbon, some kind of line.
Yeah. So that's very. One thing I don't want to interrupt you, but one thing thinking about skipping docks, and as far as the tackle goes, we've seen in the years past where companies really transition, especially in the rod and reel world, where they're making rods specifically for a technique. We saw it with the Alabama rig. We've seen it with crankbaits. Obviously, a lot of guys throwing, glass composite, or a lot of companies making glass composite rods. It's just as techniques advance and they start doing really, really well, companies start making rods specifically designed for that. Last year, there was a company that I'm very familiar with. I work with the guys in the industry. I won't mention the name. They came out with a dock skipping reel.
Yep.
This year, they're coming out.
Was that Luz?
Yes.
Who was it? Okay.
It was Luz. I can tell you by the grapevine, little rumor, I don't want to give away their secrets. They're coming out with a different skipping reel as well. And it's going to be the only change is the gear ratio for what you just mentioned right there, because that is one of the things I think pros are demanding is the reels are great. We need, I know a lot of pros out there that are using like the flipping reels that are, the 10.0 to 1 because they want to catch up that line as quickly as possible because they do. They eat it coming toward you. You're exactly right.
And you think 8 is fast enough, but I swear sometimes it ain't. I mean, that's just how it is. Sometimes a fish can swim faster than any reel made. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So
Rick Clun said one time a fish can literally swim the length of a basketball goal in about a half of a second.
I have no idea how, because I'm 23. Mm-hmm. I have no idea how guys. My grandpa taught me how to fish. He's still got the old reels he used. I've tried them, the old 3-to-1s and stuff. Like, I can't even imagine fishing a jig on a 3-to-1 with mono. I don't know how you ever land a fish.
No, I don't know how they did it back then. And then you see guys like in the days of the Larry Nixon's fishing the Classic, or Paul Elias is a prime example. And I pick on Paul Elias because I remember seeing the old show of him winning the Classic, I believe in '84, and how he was setting the hook because the reel handles were like that big back then. And,
Yep.
you know, setting it way above his head and all that. But that's just the technology. But again, it falls back to you. How did they do? You know, we're talking about reels that had 3 to 4 ball bearings in them. I can't even imagine. I don't even want to imagine what that had to feel like. You know?
They must have really loved fishing, is all I have to say.
You know, so no, I'm totally with you on that one. So the technology's come a long ways.
I will say one last thing on that. You kind of have to be careful with a lot of guys use a shorter rod for skipping, especially shorter people. I'm 6'1", so luckily I don't have to face that issue. But my partner, the guy who won the first BFL, first NC BFL, Jake Monty, he's not the tallest guy, and he uses a 7'3" to kind of compensate for that. And everybody looks at him like he's crazy because most shorter guys use a 6'8" or 6'6" or something to skip. But you got to be careful because you got to have leverage on them, and it is hard with a shorter rod, or even you got to watch out the really fast reels, those 10-to-1s. Sometimes you can't get any torque on them, and they'll break your heart.
Yep. That line will wrap around that rod tip.
Yep. Yes, it will.
That does that. And especially if you're throwing braid. Like, you really got to be careful with that. So, well, Logan, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Gave it a lot of great information. Again, congratulations on your win. What was that, your first BFL win, just out of curiosity? Or
I've fished 4 BFLs in my life. 1 as a co-angler, and then 3 this year. I had a 15th or a 13th at Norman, and then 15th at Norman, 13th at High Rock, and then a win here. So,
well, I'd say you're doing pretty damn good for your first year as a boater.
Well, I've got a lot more experience than not saying I have a ton. 23 years old, but I fished in college. I'm an engineer, so I didn't get to fish a lot in college, but I did fish a good bit. I've been around, and I've fished against some really good people, which makes you have to fish really, really well.
Yeah, a quick story on what you're talking about, and especially it just goes to show the ability, the fishing ability of the guys in your area. And anglers across the country are great, no question about it. But there's something about that North Carolina, South Carolina area. I fished a college event as well back in 2013, and there was a Thursday nighter happening. And we thought, okay, cool. We heard about it from a guy at a gas station and all that because we were getting fuel after practice, and he was asking us if we were going to fish this tournament. So my team partner and I were like, man, let's go jump into it. And I'm like, we never fished this lake, whatever. And he's like, well, it's really close to the lake we're fishing for the tournament. It can't be, too much different, whatever. And we showed up, and Andy Montgomery and Brian Thrift were team partners in this Thursday nighter.
So y'all were fishing a Lake Wiley Thursday nighter is what I hear.
We were. That's exactly right. That's exactly where we were. And I told my partner, I said, let's just go get a pizza and go home. Like, seriously?
I have had, dude, in North Carolina, here, I live on Lake Norman. I'm 5 minutes from the top of Lake Norman. I'm assuming that's where your tournament was as well.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Yep. So I've had days. There's days where you pull up to a Monday nighter, and there will be Hank Cherry, Shane LaHue. I'm trying to think of all of them. Shane Lineberger, he's a touring pro, and a hammer on Norman.
Yeah, Cobb will show up to some of them.
Yeah. They had a fundraiser tournament for Berkeley where I think every Berkeley pro just about showed up. I mean, and you got some legends too. I mean, in the BFL at High Rock, I mean, you're fishing as David Wright on High Rock. Like, what are you going to do? I mean,
yeah, these guys are going to show up, and that shows one thing, and guys may think that's not fair for pros like that to fish, whatever.
It's fair.
Fishing is fishing. At the end of the day, that shows you how important and how much they love the sport. And God bless. And get in there. Pay your money and get in there with them. Have some fun. They're there to have fun. Does Hank Cherry care about winning a Tuesday nighter? Probably not. He's there to have fun. You know,
he cares about the winter trails. That's a point of pride for him.
Exactly.
I don't show up to them. I don't have the heart for that. I've taken too many of my dollars in the winter trail.
That's some tough competition for sure. So, Logan, before we let you go, I know you got a lot of people that support you there in North Carolina where you live. I know you work for Queen Tackle. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, I'm not going to rehash all the ad space I've done already, but I caught my fish on Queen Tackle stuff, so I'm going to thank them. I always got to thank my family. I mean, I'm 23 years old. There's a couple 23-year-olds out there running their own boats. Don't get me wrong, but most of us are running our dad's boats, if we're being honest, or at least splitting it with them or whatever. So thank my family. I couldn't do it without them. They've supported me the entire way, and they were the first ones I called. They were the happiest for me. You can't do it without them. Besides that, not that I've worked with many companies, but through college and stuff, you do meet people. BizBaits and True South, they make awesome plastics. I was throwing a BizBaits plastic on the back of my jig. All JB rods, all those guys. They're not technically sponsors, but I'm going to thank them anyway because they're good guys and they deserve a shout out. So.
Absolutely. So for all listeners out there, we've been talking to Mr. Logan Anderson, the recent winner from the BFL North Carolina Division tournament on Kerr Lake. Logan, good luck to you the rest of the year. You got that win under your belt, so you're already guaranteed into that championship. So I know you're going to be fishing pretty easy for the rest of the year, but good luck to you and everything you're doing. Good luck to all the anglers fishing the North Carolina Division and all the anglers, period, that are fishing the BFLs in 2022. Before we let everybody go, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Revital Outdoors. Make sure you hit that link at the top of the description right below this video to enter into that $2,500 sweepstakes giveaway. Again, that winner will be chosen at the end of the year. It's a great giveaway opportunity. No angler wants to pass up. Check out Logan on Facebook and Instagram. He's got a great social media to follow. He's always fishing and always doing stuff in the fishing world. So great content there. From all of us at Revital Outdoors, I'm Theron Asbury. Thank you for tuning into this winning podcast with Logan Anderson. God bless everybody. Be safe out there. We'll talk to everyone very, very soon.